I never thought my daughter's wedding day would end in gunfire. One moment, she was walking down the aisle with a smile brighter than the sun, and the next, chaos tore it all apart. The sound of a single gunshot echoed through the garden. Guests screamed. Flowers fell, and my world stopped. As I ran toward her, my heart felt like it was trying to escape my chest. She was on the ground, blood staining her white dress, and standing there was Margaret Henderson, the HOA president, holding the gun. Her face didn't even show regret. Just anger. Cold, bitter anger. That day, she thought she could get away with it. But she had no idea who she was dealing with, because I'm not just her neighbor. I'm the county sheriff. Before starting, let me know where are you from. Let me start from the beginning. I remember that morning clearly. The sun had just come up, soft and golden, lighting up the small garden behind the church. My daughter Lily was finally getting married, the kind of day every father dreams of. She looked beautiful. Nervous, excited, radiant. And I couldn't stop smiling. I'd spent my life dealing with crime, violence, and chaos, but that day, that moment, felt like peace. Everything seemed perfect. Until Margaret Henderson showed up. Margaret wasn't on the guest list. She wasn't even a friend of the family. But if you've ever dealt with an HOA Karen, you already know, boundaries mean nothing to people like her. She lived 2 houses down from us, always complaining, always needing to control everyone around her. She'd fought us for years over mailbox color, parking spots, and garden decor. She ran the HOA like a dictator, fines for flowers being too bright, letters for lawn chairs left out overnight. But we learned to ignore her. Until that day, I noticed her near the gate before the ceremony even started, dressed in a beige suit, standing with that fake smile, whispering to people she didn't even know. I told myself she wouldn't cause trouble, not today. But I was wrong. During the reception, I saw her arguing with the wedding planner. Something about noise levels and permit violations. Who complains about noise at a wedding? Lily tried to brush it off. She said, "Dad, let it go. Today's too beautiful to let her ruin it." But Margaret wasn't done. She came up to Lily and started talking about the decorations, saying they violated HOA landscaping rules. My daughter laughed it off, politely as she always did. Then Margaret said something that made my stomach drop. She leaned in and whispered, "You'll regret not listening to me." I was halfway across the garden when I heard the shot. It didn't sound real at first, just a loud crack that split the music in half. Then came the screams. I ran toward the sound, heart pounding so hard it drowned everything else out. Lily was on the ground, clutching her chest, her bouquet scattered in the grass. Blood was soaking through her dress, and standing over her it was Margaret. Gun in hand, face pale but eyes burning. I drew my weapon without thinking, shouting for everyone to get back. Margaret dropped the gun, hands shaking but voice steady. "She provoked me," she screamed. "She ruined everything." Police sirens echoed in the distance, my team, my men. But in that moment, I wasn't the sheriff. I was just a father watching his daughter bleed. Lily's fiancé held her hand, crying, whispering for her to stay awake. I pressed down on the wound, trying to stop the bleeding, telling her she'd be okay, even though I didn't believe it myself. When the ambulance finally arrived, I rode with her, silent. Her breathing was shallow, her hand cold. At the hospital, the doctor met me with that look, the one that tells you the truth before he even speaks. "The bullet missed her heart by less than an inch," he said. "She's alive, but she might never be the same." Margaret was arrested at the scene, but that wasn't the end. Not even close, because power protects people like her. By the next morning, she was out on bail, smiling for the cameras, painting herself as the victim. She told reporters she was defending herself, that my daughter lunged at her. It was a lie so big, it made my blood boil. But I'd learned one thing from years in law enforcement: never let anger control you. Let the facts do the talking, and that's exactly what I planned to do. The weeks that followed were hell. My daughter was in recovery, pale, fragile, and scared of every sound that reminded her of that day. My wife barely slept. And me? I was living 2 lives, father and sheriff, and neither one felt enough. Margaret walked around like she'd done nothing wrong. She hired the best lawyers in the state. She called the shooting an unfortunate misunderstanding, her defense. The bride attacked me first. Every time I saw her smug face on TV, my hands clenched. But I couldn't act on anger. I needed evidence. That's when one of our neighbors, Angela, called. She told me, "She's done this before." Turns out Margaret had a long record of harassment complaints, all buried under HOA influence. She'd bullied elderly couples, fined single parents, even vandalized homes that didn't fit her standards. Piece by piece, we started building the real picture of who she was, not a neighbor, but a tyrant. And when the trial began, her world started to crumble. The courtroom was packed. News cameras, neighbors, my colleagues. I sat behind my daughter, watching Margaret play the victim again, dabbing her eyes, pretending to be weak. But the prosecution had something she didn't expect. Video evidence. A guest had recorded part of the confrontation, enough to show Margaret aiming the gun first. The room went silent. You could see the shift. Her lawyer froze. Reporters leaned forward and Margaret's fake tears stopped. When it was my turn to speak, I walked to the stand slowly. My voice was steady, but every word came from a place deeper than anger. "I've spent my life upholding the law," I said, "but today I'm just a father. My daughter didn't deserve this. No one does." I looked right at her. "You talk about control, Margaret. But control without compassion is cruelty." She looked away. The jury took less than an hour. Guilty. She was sentenced, not as long as I'd hoped, but long enough to face what she'd done. Outside, reporters swarmed. But for once, I didn't care about cameras or headlines. All I cared about was Lily, alive, smiling weakly, holding my hand. She still has the bullet fragment near her heart. The doctor said removing it would be too dangerous. But she tells me it's a reminder, not of pain, but of survival. Margaret lost everything trying to prove she had power. And me? I learned that sometimes justice doesn't look like revenge. It looks like peace. The HOA disbanded. The neighborhood changed. People started helping one another instead of reporting each other. Lily's fiancé stood by her side through everything. They postponed the wedding, but they didn't give up on love. A year later, I walked her down the aisle again, slower this time, steadier. And when she whispered, "Thank you, Dad," I finally let go of everything I'd been holding inside. I looked at the sky, thinking of how close I came to losing everything. Then I looked at her, full of life again, and I said quietly and maybe to myself, "Some people live to control others. But real strength is knowing when to let go."